Muhammad Ali's hands were shaking so badly he could barely hold a glass of water, but he still walked into Saddam Hussein's palace. Because somewhere in Iraq, 15 Americans were being kept as human shields, and the U.S. government had already tried and failed to get them out. Everyone said the same thing. It can't be done. But Ali didn't come with soldiers. He didn't come with weapons. He came with one phone call, one name, and one impossible promise. I'm bringing them home. And the scariest part, Saddam agreed to meet him, which raised one terrifying question. Was Muhammad Ali about to save 15 lives? Or become Saddam's next hostage on live television? Muhammad Ali was sitting in a quiet room, the TV light flickering across his face like a warning. The sound was low, but the message was loud. 15 Americans held in Iraq. Not arrested, not on trial. Just trapped. Men who had gone there to work, to build, to earn a living. Now they were being moved around like pieces on a chessboard, used as human shields near military sites. And every expert on the screen kept saying the same thing. There's nothing we can do. It's impossible. The government tried. They failed. Ali stared at the TV like it had insulted him. Because to Ali, those words, nothing we can do, were never facts. They were excuses. His hands trembled slightly in his lap. He tried to still them, but they didn't stop. They hadn't stopped in a long time. Parkinson's. A disease that didn't care who you were. A disease that didn't care if you once floated like a butterfly and made the world chant your name. His speech had slowed over the years. His body didn't obey the way it used to. But his mind was still Ali. Still sharp, still stubborn, still dangerous in the way that scared powerful people. He watched the footage again, grainy images of foreign workers, tight faces, nervous eyes. Then the camera showed Saddam Hussein, sitting calm, confident, almost bored. Like holding hundreds of lives was just another move. Ali felt something twist inside him. Not fear, not anger, something deeper, a kind of disgust. Because this wasn't a fair fight. This wasn't two men in a ring with rules and a referee. This was a dictator cornering innocent people and daring the world to blink first. Ali leaned forward. Then he said it almost like a whisper, like he was admitting it to himself before anyone else could stop him. Lonnie. His wife, Lonnie Ali, was nearby. She had learned over the years to recognize his tone. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't loud. It was worse than that. It was the tone Ali used when his decision was already made. Lonnie turned, she saw his face. She saw the look, and her stomach tightened. Because she knew that look. She had seen it in old footage, Ali refusing the Vietnam draft, even when it cost him everything. She had seen it in stories, Ali stepping into fights people said he couldn't win. This look wasn't excitement. It was conviction. Lonnie walked closer. What is it? Ali didn't answer right away. He just kept watching the screen. The anchors kept talking about diplomacy, dead ends, pressure, strategy. Ali didn't care about strategy. He cared about people. Finally, he turned to his wife and spoke slowly, carefully, like each word was heavy. I have to do something. Lonnie's eyes searched his. What do you mean, do something? Ali swallowed. Then he said the sentence that should have sounded ridiculous. The sentence that should have been impossible. I'm going to Iraq. Lonnie froze. The room suddenly felt too small. Outside, the world was moving toward war. Inside, Ali was talking like this was just a trip to the store. Lonnie took a breath, trying to stay calm. You can't, she said. Ali's eyes didn't blink. I can. No, she said again more firmly. Mohammed, Saddam Hussein is not, this isn't boxing, this isn't a show, this is a dictator, he could do anything. Ali nodded as if he already knew that. As if he had already accepted the risk. I'm going to talk to him, he said. I'm going to bring those people home. Lonnie stared at him. And for a second, she didn't just see her husband. She saw the weight he carried. Muhammad Ali wasn't just a retired athlete. He was a symbol. In America, people argued about him. Some loved him, some hated him. But in many Muslim countries, Ali was something else. He was a legend who gave up fame for faith. A man who stood up to the most powerful government in the world and didn't bow. And because of that, Ali had something no official diplomat could ever buy. Respect. Lonnie's voice softened, almost breaking. Why you? Ali's answer came quick, almost painful. Because I'm human, he said, and they're human. Lonnie looked away for a moment, trying to swallow the fear rising in her throat. She already knew how this ended. When Ali made up his mind, the world had to adjust. And that was the terrifying part. Because the world wasn't safe right now. In August 1990, Saddam Hussein had invaded Kuwait. The world watched in shock. Then the world watched in dread. Because everyone knew what came next: pressure, threats, sanctions, and then war. And if war started, while hostages were sitting at military sites, those hostages weren't bargaining chips anymore. They were targets, whether anyone wanted to admit it or not. The U.S. government had tried back channels. They had tried formal pressure. They had tried careful words and stern warnings. Nothing worked. Saddam was playing his own game, and he didn't care about rules. And now Muhammad Ali, a man with no government title, was saying he would walk straight into Baghdad and ask for mercy. It sounded insane. It sounded like a headline written by someone who didn't understand reality. But Ali wasn't guessing. He wasn't daydreaming. He began making calls. Quietly at first, carefully. He called a businessman named Arthur Morse, someone with connections in the Arab world. Morse listened, and at first, he thought Ali had lost his mind. "This is dangerous," Morse said. "This is not a stunt, this is serious." Ali's voice was slow, but it carried something Morse couldn't ignore. "I'm not going for me," Ali said. "I'm going for them." Morse tried to reason with him. "There are diplomats for this. There are people trained for this." Ali didn't raise his voice. He didn't have to. "Did they bring them home?" he asked. Silence. Morse exhaled. He didn't like it, but he understood it. Because Ali's name could open doors that politics could not. In the Muslim world, Ali wasn't just famous. He was family. A brother in faith, a man of courage. And Saddam Hussein, love him or fear him, understood symbols. If Muhammad Ali came to Iraq, the cameras would come too. And Saddam liked cameras. The next call was even more serious. The U.S. State Department. When they heard Ali was considering going, the response was immediate. "Don't go." They warned him Saddam could use him for propaganda. They warned him Saddam could deny him access. They warned him Saddam could hold him and twist the whole world into a hostage situation. In other words, they were saying Saddam could do to Ali what he did to everyone else. Ali listened. He didn't argue. He didn't insult anyone. He just responded with that same calm confidence that used to make opponents nervous. "I understand," he said, "but I'm going anyway." Lonnie watched him hang up the phone, and she felt her chest tighten. Because when the government tells you not to go somewhere, it's not a suggestion. It's a warning. And Ali was walking toward the warning like it was a challenge. That night, Lonnie barely slept. Every time she closed her eyes, she imagined her husband in a foreign palace, surrounded by armed guards while cameras flashed like lightning. She pictured Saddam smiling for the world, and then turning cold the moment the door shut. Ali, on the other hand, moved with a strange calm. Not because he wasn't scared, but because he had already decided fear wasn't going to drive. The day came. Ali boarded a plane headed to Jordan. And from Jordan, he would go to Baghdad. As he sat in his seat, the world outside the window looked peaceful. Clouds, sky, sunlight. But everyone around him knew the truth. He wasn't flying toward a friendly meeting. He was flying toward the man the world feared. Ali's mind kept returning to one thought. 15 people, 15 families, 15 homes waiting for footsteps that might never return. The world said it was impossible. The government said it was too risky. Common sense said stay away. But Ali never built his life on common sense. He built it on something else. Belief. And as the plane pushed forward, one question hung in the air like a storm cloud. Was Muhammad Ali walking into the most important fight of his life? Or into a trap that no one, not even the greatest, could talk his way out of? Because the moment Ali stepped into Baghdad, there would be no referee, no bell, no rules. Only a dictator, and a legend with trembling hands who refused to accept the words. Nothing can be done. The plane touched down, and suddenly the air felt different. Not because Ali could smell danger, but because you could feel it in the way people moved. Quick glances, tight shoulders, quiet voices. Jordan was the last place that still felt normal. Baghdad was not normal. Baghdad was a city holding its breath. Ali stepped off the plane slowly, careful with his footing. The tremble in his hands was worse after the long flight. Not from fear, his body simply didn't give him breaks anymore. Lonnie had begged him to reconsider right up to the last moment. And Ali had kissed her forehead and said, "I'll come back. Not I'll try. Not I hope. I'll come back." That confidence was both comforting and terrifying. Because now the mission had moved from talk to action. From headlines to real streets. The next part was the hardest, the journey into Iraq. A long drive, hours and hours of road. And every mile forward felt like a mile deeper into a tunnel. Ali sat in the back seat, staring out the window as the landscape passed. Flat land, dry wind, dust that clung to everything. The driver barely spoke. Arthur Morse, riding near the front, kept checking the mirrors like he expected trouble to appear out of thin air. Because trouble could. In 1990, the whole region was a matchstick. One wrong move, one misunderstanding, one angry soldier at a checkpoint. And this mission could end before it started. Ali tried to keep his mind calm. But the truth was, even he didn't know what he would face once he arrived. He had been in hostile arenas before. He had been booed, hated, cursed at. But he had never walked into the heart of an enemy nation during a crisis, uninvited, unprotected, and depending only on his name. As the car crossed into Iraq, the checkpoint came into view. Armed guards. Hard faces. No smiles. Their rifles weren't for show. They stopped the car, motioned for everyone to stay still. One guard leaned in through the window, eyes scanning. Then his gaze landed on Ali. For a second, the guard didn't react, like his brain needed time to catch up with what his eyes were seeing. Then his expression changed. Not into warmth, not into kindness, but into confusion. Like the world had just broken its own rules. Because why would Muhammad Ali be here? One of the officials stepped closer, speaking in Arabic. Morse answered, explaining who they were, why they had come. The official listened, then looked again at Ali. Ali nodded gently, offering a soft, respectful smile. A moment passed. Then the official waved them through. No celebration. No handshake. Just a silent permission. And when the car started moving again, Morse let out a breath like he'd been holding it for a year. Ali didn't say anything. But inside, he knew something important. The first door had opened. Now he needed the biggest one. Baghdad appeared in the distance like a gray blur. The closer they got, the tenser the streets became. Military vehicles. Posters. Soldiers in groups, watching everything, like the city itself was under suspicion. Ali's fame did not erase the reality. This was Saddam's world, and everyone inside it survived by obeying. When they arrived at their hotel, Ali stepped out and paused. The sound of Baghdad was different from any city he had known. It wasn't loud. It was cautious. It was as if the streets were speaking in whispers, afraid someone might overhear. Inside the hotel lobby, Iraqi officials were already waiting. Not welcoming, evaluating. Ali could feel their eyes on him, measuring him like an object. One man spoke in English, polite but cold. "We understand you wish to meet the president." Ali nodded, yes. The man's mouth tightened into something almost like a smile. "The president is very busy." Morse jumped in, trying to push gently. "This is important. 15 Americans, families." The official raised a hand. "No," he said, "maybe later." Then he leaned closer, voice low. "Maybe in weeks." Weeks. That word hit like a punch. Because Ali didn't have weeks. The hostages didn't have weeks. War was circling like a vulture, waiting for the moment to drop. Ali didn't argue. He didn't shout. He simply nodded again. "Okay," he said softly. And the official, thinking the meeting was over, turned as if to leave. But Ali called after him. "Sir." The official stopped. Ali's voice was slow but steady. "I came all this way. I'm not leaving until I see him." The official stared at him for a long moment. And then he walked away without answering. Morse looked at Ali like he was about to panic. "This is bad," he whispered. "They can stall us forever." Ali's eyes stayed calm. "They won't," he said. "How do you know?" Ali looked out the window at the city. Because he had another plan. Not a political plan. Not a government plan. A human plan. If Saddam wouldn't come to Ali, Ali would become impossible to ignore. The next morning, Ali requested to visit a mosque. The Iraqi handlers were surprised. They had expected him to sit quietly and wait. But Ali wasn't here to wait. He was here to move. At the mosque, something strange happened. At first, people kept their distance. They stared like they weren't sure if he was real. Then someone whispered his name. Then another's. Then suddenly, like a wave rolling across a shore, faces changed. Eyes widened. Men stepped forward. Hands reached out. Muhammad Ali. Ali nodded, smiling. He greeted them with respect, with warmth, with humility. He prayed with them. He stood shoulder to shoulder with Iraqis who had spent months being told Americans were the enemy. And now here was an American, a famous one, not shouting, not threatening, but praying, talking about faith, talking about peace, talking about family. People listened, not because he demanded it, because he felt sincere. Word spread fast. By the second mosque, more people showed up. By the third, crowds were waiting before he arrived. And then Iraqi television appeared. Cameras, microphones. A reporter asked him, "Why are you here?" Ali looked straight into the lens, his voice careful. "I come for peace," he said. "I come as a Muslim, I come as a brother." That clip replayed across Iraq. Then across the region. Then across the world. And that's when the pressure began to shift. Because Saddam Hussein didn't just control soldiers. He controlled stories. And now Muhammad Ali was becoming a story Saddam didn't fully control. Ali visited hospitals. He visited orphanages. He held children in his arms, his hands trembling as he tried to steady them. He smiled at mothers who looked exhausted. He spoke softly to fathers who looked suspicious. And every time the cameras rolled, Ali did something dangerous. He made Iraqis look human. Not like enemies. Like people. And Saddam was watching. Because of course he was watching. Saddam understood power. And Muhammad Ali had a different kind of power. Not guns. Not money. Not armies. Attention. And attention is a weapon when the whole world is watching. After days of silence from the palace, Ali sat in his room one night, rubbing his shaking hands together slowly. Morse paced like a trapped animal. "They're playing with us," Morse said. "They're using you, they're filming you, this is propaganda." Ali looked at him. "Maybe," he said. Morse's voice rose. "Then why are we still here?" Ali leaned forward, eyes locked. "Because I didn't come here to look good," he said. "I came here to bring them home." And then, as if the universe was listening, the phone rang. Morse froze. Ali didn't move right away. He just stared at the phone like he already knew. Morse picked it up, listened, then his face changed. He covered the receiver and whispered, "It's the palace." Ali stood slowly, his body stiff, his hands trembling harder now. Morse swallowed. "They said the president will see you." And in that moment, all the calm tension snapped into something sharper. Because now the mission wasn't about waiting. It wasn't about planning. It was about walking into the lion's den. And as Ali prepared to leave the hotel, one question thundered in the silence. Was Saddam inviting Ali to negotiate? Or inviting him to become the next hostage? The car ride to the presidential palace felt longer than it should have. Not because the road was far, because every second inside that vehicle carried a weight. Baghdad passed by outside the window. Gray buildings, watchful soldiers, streets that looked alive but still somehow afraid. Ali sat quietly, hands folded, trembling like small storms in his lap. Arthur Morse kept glancing at him, like he was trying to memorize the last calm moment before everything changed. Because once they entered the palace, there would be no turning back. The gates appeared ahead, tall, guarded, and silent. A row of men stood with rifles held like they were part of the wall. The car slowed, stopped. An officer leaned down to the window and studied them. Then his eyes landed on Ali again. That same confusion, that same disbelief. Like the world had made a mistake. The officer said something sharp in Arabic. Then the gate opened. The car rolled forward. And just like that, Muhammad Ali, the most famous American in the world, entered the territory of a man who terrified presidents. Inside, the palace was cold. Not in temperature, in feeling. The hallways were long, polished, spotless. So clean they felt unreal, like the building itself was trying to prove power through perfection. Guards lined the corridors, standing still with faces that showed nothing. Ali's footsteps were slow. His body didn't move like it once did. But his presence still filled the space. Fame does that. Legend does that. A man can look fragile and still make everyone watch him. At the end of one hallway, a set of doors opened, and Ali was guided into a room that felt like a stage. High ceiling, heavy curtains, furniture arranged like this was a place where people came to beg. Muhammad Ali stood still. Then Saddam Hussein appeared. He walked in like he owned the air. Military uniform, confident stride. A cigar in his hand like a symbol, like he could smoke while the world burned. This was the man who had invaded Kuwait. The man who held hundreds of foreigners as shields. The man who could decide with a single word whether 15 Americans lived or never saw daylight again. Ali's hands trembled harder. Not because he was afraid to die, because his body was fighting him. But his eyes were steady. Saddam looked at him for a long moment. And then something strange happened. The dictator's expression softened. His mouth curved. He smiled. Not a polite smile. Not a fake smile. A genuine one, like a boy meeting his hero. He stepped forward, almost excited. "Muhammad Ali," he said, voice warm, "the greatest." For a second, it didn't feel like a palace. It felt like a fan meeting a celebrity. Saddam lifted his hand slightly, as if he wanted to shake Ali's hand and prove this moment was real. Ali stepped forward too, carefully. He extended his trembling hands. Saddam took them and held them firmly. Then he looked directly at Ali. "I watched your fights," Saddam said. "You are a true champion." Arthur Morse stood off to the side, stunned. This was supposed to be a dangerous meeting with a brutal dictator. And yet here Saddam was, almost smiling like this was a celebration. That was when Ali understood something important. Saddam wasn't just a tyrant. He was a performer. And performers love an audience, Ali didn't waste time. He didn't ramble. He didn't play politician. He spoke slowly but with purpose. "Mr. President," he said, "I come not as a politician." Saddam's eyes narrowed slightly, listening. "I come as a Muslim," Ali continued, "as your brother in faith." The room felt still, like even the guards were listening. Ali took a breath, steadying himself. "I came for those men," he said, "the Americans being held here." Saddam didn't react. He just puffed his cigar, smoke curling upward like a lazy threat. Ali kept going. "These men are not soldiers," Ali said. "They are workers, fathers, husbands." His voice tightened, a little emotion creeping in. "They have families crying for them, children waiting for them to come home." Saddam stared at him like he was studying a puzzle. Ali leaned forward slightly. "As Muslims," Ali said, "we are taught mercy." Saddam's face didn't change. So Ali shifted. Because Ali knew something else too. You don't move a dictator with pity. You move him with pride. Ali nodded respectfully. "You are a powerful leader," he said. Saddam's eyes flickered. Ali continued, smooth as a boxer slipping a punch. "You have shown strength to the world," Ali said, "but the world respects more than strength." Saddam's cigar paused near his lips. Ali pointed gently, not with his finger but with his words. "Show mercy," Ali said. "Show wisdom. Let the world see that you are not only strong but compassionate." For the first time, Saddam's expression shifted. Not softer, more thoughtful, because now Ali wasn't asking like a beggar. He was offering Saddam something he desperately wanted. A new story. Not Saddam the monster. Saddam the merciful leader. Saddam the man who released hostages because a great Muslim champion asked him to. Saddam leaned back in his chair, smoke drifting around his face like fog. The room was quiet. Ali waited. Not nervously. Patiently. Like a man who had been in 10-round wars before. Saddam finally spoke. "You are brave," he said. Ali nodded once. Saddam continued, voice low. "Most Americans fear to come here, but you came." He stared at Ali's trembling hands. "You came even with your illness." Ali didn't hide it. He didn't apologize for it. He simply met Saddam's gaze. Saddam puffed again. Then he said, "I will consider your request." That was it. No yes. No no. Just consider. Arthur Morse felt his heart sink. Because they hadn't come all this way for consider. Ali, however, didn't look disappointed. He looked like he expected this. Because Ali understood something that Morse didn't. In the palace, Saddam couldn't look weak. He couldn't give in too fast. Not in front of guards. Not in front of officials. Not even in front of himself. But "I will consider" was not a rejection. It was a crack. And cracks are how walls fall. Ali stood, preparing to leave. He offered one last sentence, soft and steady. "Mr. President," he said, "I ask you as a brother, let those men go home." Saddam didn't answer. He'd only watched Ali walk away. And as Ali exited the palace, the hallway felt different. Still cold. Still guarded. But now, Ali had planted something in Saddam's mind. A story Saddam might want to tell the world. Back in the car, Morse finally spoke. "That's it," he said, frustrated. "He just said he'd consider it." Ali looked out the window, calm. "He listened," Ali said. Morse shook his head. "That doesn't mean he'll do it." Ali finally turned. And his eyes were filled with something that made Morse stop talking. A quiet certainty. "He will," Ali said. And then he added, almost like a warning to fate itself. "Because he wants to look good." The car pulled away from the palace. Behind them, Saddam Hussein sat with his cigar. Thinking. Not about war. Not about Kuwait. Not even about America. But about how it would look if he released 15 Americans. As a gift to Muhammad Ali. And in that moment, a terrifying thought surfaced. What if this wasn't just negotiation? What if Saddam was planning to use Ali for a bigger message? A message to the world that said, I can keep hostages and I can release them whenever I want. And Muhammad Ali had just stepped into the middle of that message. The question now wasn't whether Ali could talk to Saddam. He already had. The question was far more dangerous. Could Ali walk out of Iraq with those 15 men? Before Saddam changed his mind,